Welcome back to the Two Comma Club podcast. Today, Chris and I are joined by Douglas James. I'm really excited about this episode. We got connected on Instagram, and I see he's up to some really amazing things in the lead gen side of things. So, Douglas, if you wouldn't mind kind of telling our audience a little bit about what you have going on right now and how you can help or add value to what they have going on, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor to be here with you. It's cool because I've seen you guys online a few times. I heard your names come up, various events, conferences, stuff like that. So it's cool to be invited. So, yeah, name's Douglas James. I've been in the space for 10 years. My whole thing is I can take anyone that doesn't know you through a process online to convert it into a high ticket sale. So that's everything from the marketing and the advertising to the high ticket phone sales process. I've sold packages up to 50 grand with to complete strangers that didn't know me, and then had them at my penthouse for a few days and blew them away. So yeah, anywhere I can add value there. And then obviously I do have a software that I developed that basically gives you the exact buying power of every lead in real time. So I'm happy to go over that as well.
Awesome. Awesome. I guess I'm always curious. I don't think most people are born entrepreneurs, and I don't believe anybody's self-made. So kind of how did you get started? Like bring us up, like how did you get in your journey? How did you get kind of going in the business world, if you don't mind diving into your past a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, so I've been I was in the Navy for 10 years. I was a hospital corpsman. So I got to, travel all over the world, do see amazing things. Notably, I went on a deployment, a humanitarian mission to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Philippines. We even visited Vietnam. And the whole point of that tour was to just render medical aid to some of these, impoverished, indigenous third world countries, islands out in the Pacific. And not all of the ones I just mentioned are like that, but like Papua New Guinea, you go there and like people are legit walking around barefoot, wearing like, straw skirts, wearing straw skirt, stuff like that, living in these little tiki huts. So we went to go help them medically, and then we actually built schools for kids out there too.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was some of the coolest work I ever done as a human, And I think when I got back from that deployment, it really impacted me because I got to see kids, and you know, we built tennis courts, basketball fields, a whole bunch of stuff, and I just kind of I advanced to E6, which is like a high level, active duty supervisor, and I was only 5.5 years in at that point. So I made that rank, and the average person takes 12 years to hit that rank. And I kind of got to the point where like, man, I think I've kind of hit my cap in the military. I don't want to be in the military for 20 or 30 years, like everyone's saying to do, the benefits, XYZ. So, I mean, I just got home and I'm like, man, let me try to find something, figure something out. Like I want to have a family. I want to have kids. I want my time back. I started to really listen to people, like Tony Robbins. And, back then, 10, 11 years ago, Grant Cardone was starting to kind of come up, and I started to like listen to these guys and read their books. And I started to understand like the value of your time. And I'm like, shoot, I spend 12 hours a day, working a job, and, I have duty every weekend or every other weekend, and I barely have time to work out or do whatever I want to do in life or have a girlfriend or have kids. So I just, these guys are in the marketing online. So you open up your phone, you see them every time you open your phone. I'm like, how are these guys? What are these guys doing? This is interesting to me. So I just dove into online marketing, man. I first got into SEO was really the first thing I kind of got into. I got really good at ranking people's websites. So I work with a lot of small businesses, local brick and mortar, chiropractor, dentist, car dealership, stuff like that. And I could get their site ranked like within 30 days on page one, and quadruple 5x their traffic in a month or two. I took that here in San Diego and I scaled it to about 30 grand a month rather quickly in the first 4 to 5 months. And then I had to pivot out of that because I woke up one day and I lost my business overnight. Literally, that money literally went away because Google released this algorithm update. It was called the Penguin Killer. I don't know if you guys can Google it. This sucker's real. Okay,
That's wild.
uh, basically how I learned to do SEO. I was learning for some YouTube gurus. You got to be careful with your gurus, guys. But they were basically teaching black hat stuff that I didn't know what that meant. back then. I'm like, okay, this is how you rank a website. This is what you got to do. You got to spam all these backlinks on, Wikipedia, whatever. And turns out Google didn't like that. And they slapped me and like probably hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people got slapped. And all my clients disappeared from page one of Google. So I had about five, and I had 20, 22, 23 clients too, paying me, $1 to $2,000 a month, somewhere around there. Literally all of them were like, gave me the big middle finger, and except for like five. Five were like, dude, help us out, figure it out. What can you do? I was like, okay, let me try to run ads, like Google ads, search ads, Facebook ads. This was kind of like things I was seeing because I was in the space. I saw SEO, you kind of see like affiliate marketing, and then you kind of see like these different things, right?
Yeah.
And so I learned ads. I got into ads, and of course, I sucked at it. I wasn't that good. So I lost like 4 of those clients, but one stuck around, and it was a limousine company. And that limousine company to this day is paying me $2,000 a month,
That's awesome.
and this is back when clicks were cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you set up a Facebook ad campaign and you just, you just set it up for clicks. That's it. Boom. And you're getting 50, 60 cent leads. Now it's all about lead conversion, right? So, are they actually bringing in money? So, but yeah, man, that's kind of like my story of how I got started. And then obviously, once you get really good at something and you elevate yourself, everyone around you's like, wow, look at you, look at Doug, new car, making money, new apartment. That's nice. What's he got going on? He's only making $5,000 a month in the military. How does he afford all this stuff? So I had colleagues and veterans in the military that were coming up to me at work. Mind you, I was still serving for 4 years before I could even get out, and I was doing all this, okay, because of my contract here in San Diego. So naturally, I had a lot of people coming up to me, dude, I want to learn. I notably one a Master Chief, okay, E9, highest ranking active duty rank you can go, comes up to me. He's like, hey, HM1, that was my rank, HM1, hospital corpsman, first class. He's like, man, I'm getting out the military next month. I'm retiring. I've been in for 25 years. And I don't want to sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds. Like, what's up? Can you teach me why you're making money? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I went home that weekend and I recorded the crappiest course that I uploaded to Dropbox, but just documenting what I was doing. I was just like video recording, and lo and behold, I mean, he took it, and in a weekend he had a client by Monday morning.
Wow, that's awesome.
And recorded a video, and he was like my first case study, and he paid me $900. I was like, wow, this is cool. People are willing to pay you for what I was like, this is cool, so the whole coaching thing I kind of fumbled into. So yeah, man, to save you a lot of that story on the coaching, I basically end up taking that and scaling that to 70 million in revenue, spending 25 million on ads, selling products between 5K and 50K, from do it yourself, done with you, done for you, plus workshop, penthouse workshop events, virtual events, all the whole nine, and yeah, it's given me the most exposure, on actually helping people get results. So, I have ran ads for some big brands that you guys probably know of or follow on Instagram or social media. But going in all in on my personal brand, I think was probably the key thing, because before that, Douglas James was just a name. Now it's actual trademark, and it's kind of, people will hear it, and they'll be, I go to events, they're like, dude, I think where have I seen you? When you spend that amount of money on ads, dude, I think I have probably a couple billion views, so my face has been seen, so, but
That's awesome.
but yeah, man, it's led me to the point now where I'm coaching and consulting other people in the online space, internet marketers, coaches, consultants, course creators, info product folks, anyone that's generating leads, really, even brick and mortar. And I have been for actually a few years, but now that I have this technology, which we can get into now or in a little bit, it kind of just amplifies anything that I could ever recommend, because now, without a shadow of a doubt, when a lead enters your funnel, the exact financial and credit information per that lead. Now you can say, okay, these are broke, let's not call those. These are gold, let's call those ASAP. And then through your funnel and marketing automation, you can get really strategic. So
Yeah, I would love to dive into that actually, because I saw a couple of your videos on your Instagram page talking about that and how it works. And I think I'd like to preface this segment with the fact that one of the recurring themes we've had as we've interviewed individuals who are using funnels and succeeding with it, especially in the high ticket space, is that it all boils down to the pre-qualification process. Like, you can hit numbers, but you'll hit bigger numbers if you do better pre-qualification. And so if you wouldn't mind kind of diving into what that system is that you have and how it helps people, that'd be great. If you want to save time on watching all the episodes, but still get all the gold nuggets that we find from interviewing these 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, then you can get all of that inside of the 2 Comma Club newsletter. Just go to 2ccnewsletter.com and subscribe.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, LeadFi is the name of the SaaS of the software. Okay. So I really started, I got up to a point where I got super fed up with broke leads or just spending money on people that will never convert for a high ticket. It was probably a year ago where I was like, I physically went down the rabbit hole of like solving it. And I didn't know exactly what I think I just woke up one day. I'm like, man, I wish I knew the financial capacity of every lead. I'm talking about exact data, not scraped IP data, right? There's stuff that scrapes IP data. It's like 40% accurate. No, I want to know the exact financial credit viability of every lead. So, yeah, and through that whole journey of spending all this money on advertising, like I said earlier, the marketing teams just like they would say the leads are great. Sales team would say no, the leads are broke. And usually in most funnels, especially for high ticket, if you're selling anything over 2,500 to 5K and beyond, you're generally trying to figure out what the person's finances are before you talk to them, right? So the way a lot of these marketers will go about that is they'll do like an application, right? That the user will fill out, collecting basic information, but it'll get asked some strategic questions. Hey, what's your household income? Hey, what do you do for a living? Right? What is your credit like? Maybe directly or indirectly in some way, shape, or form. And then it's either that or setter teams, right? If you have a setter team, they'll try to call and triage the lead before they bring it to like their closer, right? And ask similar questions and try to just figure out, can this lead afford us or not? Like, so we found on my funnel, and we're seeing this with our clients, we found that 50% of all of that pre-application data and setter triage call data is false, inaccurate. People just lie on that stuff, right? The market's more sophisticated now. You're running ads, webinars, book of calls. Hey, this is a free lead, free PDF download. Guys, they know what this is. The market's more sophisticated. So the quicker you can get to just going back to focusing on the value of what you're even in business for, rather than trying to ask them about their finances, it's kind of really off-putting. Hey, you just booked a call. What's your job? What do you do for a living? How much money? Like, it's off-putting. People know what you're trying to do. So, and honestly, 10 years ago, we could just focus on our value and not try to worry about what is in people's pockets, because back then there wasn't as many marketers running ads like this, right? So now you got a whole decade of it. This whole generation knows what's going on. So you got to change the math of the funnel, and that's what LeadFi does. So yeah, so 50% of that data was inaccurate. Then we found that like 80% of all the calls that were squeaking through booking didn't have access to 10 grand or more. It's like, once you get this data, it's like you can't unsee it. And that's because of LeadFi. So we immediately started seeing increases in revenue, 30%. We saw per buyer average 25 to 30%. Sales cycles shrunk from like 30 to 45 days all the way down to less than 8 days, simply because the sales team could now focus on people that got money.
Yeah.
So it's truly, it's truly powerful. And today we actually work with about 35 to, in doing this podcast, about 35 7 and 8 figure brands. There are some 9-figure brands that I'm excited about that are probably going to be coming on that I can't mention yet until inked. But yeah, man, it's going place, and it's really going viral, I would say, in our industry, and it's going to disrupt how you run ads as well, because getting the data, right? The data here, I'll just mention the data. So a lead ops into your funnel, all right? Name, email, phone number. That's what we collect. It could even be a low ticket buyer. You're getting name, email, phone number. What we do is we actually just webhook that data right into LeadFi, right? And then we figure out, based off their name, email, phone number, what's their exact credit score? Exactly how much can they spend on their credit cards in their wallet right now? We get exactly how much they're approved for in additional cards. We also get their annual income and debt to income ratio. So this is like a full financial credit profile where we can actually determine who's qualified and who's not qualified and set certain parameters. Let's say you only want your sales team to talk to people that got access to, like, I don't know, 10 grand or more. You can do that now. You can tag them SQL, sales qualified, and you could actually, in the journey, allow them to go to your calendar and book a call and talk to your sales team. And in real time, you can actually segment everyone else that doesn't have access to 10 grand or more down a pipeline that goes to like an automated webinar or a low ticket offer, protecting your sales team time. That way you can continue to monetize those leads. Okay. Your non-qualified leads honestly should be 40 to 60% of your revenue. And if you're not properly monetizing them, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, obviously. So that can help you actually liquidate ads and marketing costs as well if used effectively. But here's the real game changer with LeadFi. You can actually feed in real time all of the, say, 700 plus credit scores right back into your meta ads, your Google ad campaigns, and target that traffic specifically. I think that this is going to completely, and is already disrupting, the media buying or advertising, online advertising space, because a lot of marketers rely on buyer data to do their targeting. Okay, there's marketing attribution softwares out there. You probably know of some. I'm not going to mention any specifically, but they focus on, okay, who's got money? Who can give me money? Let's go find more of those people. The problem with that is, okay, just because somebody gives you money doesn't mean they're going to be a good customer. Okay, you take their 5 or 10K. What if it's their last 5 or 10K?
Yeah.
Now you're in violation of the FTC because of the last dollar rule, right? If you do build audiences based off credit score, well, cool, 700 plus score. If you have a 700 plus credit score, you earn that. That means you got money and access to capital that most people don't. You know how to manage your funds. You've been awarded a 700 plus score, and you're probably a level headed, more rational type of individual to work with, and not going to be a pain in the butt in your fulfillment process,
Yeah.
right? If you got a 500 credit score, guess what? You earn that too. That means you don't got access to capital. That means you probably are having hardship or having trouble managing your own finances. And you're probably going to be more of an irrational person and be a pain in the butt to your fulfillment team. All right. And, if you got a 500-600 score, bless your heart. We're all entrepreneurs. We're all business owners. We all have ups and downs. Okay. If you're in the crypto or stocks space, there's red candles and green candles. Everything's not always a green candle. Your life, your business, your marriage, your relationships is not always going to be green candles. We're going to go through times of red candles, and that's a part of life. But you got to rebound. But you, as the business owner and the marketer here, you have the ability to actually keep the red candle people out of your pipeline and put them in a proper process that meets their financial capability instead of trying to guess what their financial capability is.
I
So
like
that's
that.
what LeadFi does.
I love that. I love that. This is, to me, it's just one of those things where it really helps a ton of value. Just we talk about a lot about value and helping people sort through that. And obviously, it's fair for the client. I mean, it's just not fair. We do a lot of investing. Certain investments just aren't right for the right people. Like you said, their last dollar, we can't take that somewhere in a real estate investment. So I get that, but I love that. So just looking at what you're doing now, obviously you're probably, correct me if I'm wrong, working with more niche clients who kind of have your alignment with thought processes. What's your guys' niche now with clientele you're looking for to help and help them build their business?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been in the online marketing bubble, right? That's a lot, but tailored down. My whole thing was lead gen, right? So I speak really well to your guys that are running ads, and because I understand a phone high ticket sales process, right, online, to selling up to a 50K offer, I speak really well to sales agencies or sales guys in that process. So um, I would say the clientele that I work with nowadays are a lot of like ad agencies or marketing agencies that have a portfolio of business of clients that are doing, at least a few thousand leads each, approximately. And then also sales agencies that are managing the sales operations for a portfolio of clients as well. Same thing, that might be generating a few thousand leads a month each, usually upwards of 10 or 20,000 leads, just depends. So I work with a lot of those kind of guys. And I work with your coach, right? Anyone that's like selling online coaching or info products, courses, stuff like that. Anyone that's generating leads generally online, either through a book offer or a challenge. But usually usually they're selling some type of higher ticket product on the back end, at least a 2,500 to 5K offer, maybe even up to 50 or 100K. That's really who I'm working with nowadays, consultants, stuff like that. But we've actually are getting into the brick and mortar side. So I started in the brick and mortar lead gen. I got out of it, started just working with, online coaches and info space. But now we're getting back into the brick and mortar because of LeadFi, and, looking at real estate companies, developers, solar companies, anyone that's generating leads over there, because, solar could, cost 20, 30, 50 grand, right? Same thing with roof replacements. A roof could cost 20, 30, 50 grand. And if they're generating, I don't know, 50, 100 leads a day, 80% of those could possibly be really broke, unqualified leads. So you probably don't want to talk to those people, right? So anyone that's generating leads that wants to know which of the leads can afford them or not is really a perfect fit for LeadFi. So
That's awesome.
That's
I
awesome.
love that. Sounds like you have the area of expertise dialed in with being able to help individuals in the sales space pre-qualify through understanding the finances behind the scenes. Um, how did you kind of find this problem and then begin going about actually solving it and putting the resources together that ultimately are LeadFi today?
yeah, I mean, kind of like, and I'll go deeper on this, but back this whole journey, if you're an agency and you have a portfolio of clients you're working with and they're generating leads, right? We all know that, if you run ads, you're opening yourself up to the world, basically. Or even if it's just the United States, you're opening up yourself to 360 million people, even though your targeting might be just these certain people. Meta and Google's API is only about 40% accurate. So you're going to get people that aren't meeting the criteria you're truly targeting, right? I will say, to their credit, their AI is getting a lot better. You could almost run broad campaigns and allow the AI to actually engage with people that are actually, taking action. But again, just because your video is good and you're getting a ton of views doesn't always necessarily translate into revenue or buyers, right? So, this whole journey of me, running ads and consulting some big brands and spending money, I literally just got fed up with, clients complaining about lead quality. I got fed up with seeing my own results and our quality dwindled. There was a point where I was personally spending, in our company, we would spend $1 million a month on ads, right? And maybe get like maybe 2 to 2.5 million, which was probably my highest month at one point. But that's a big nut to swallow, man. And that's only if you calculate, that's only a 2 to 2.5x ROAS. And there was points where, yeah, we would spend lower than that, maybe spend 300K, and then we generate like 1.5. That's nice. That's like a 5x ROAS, right? But the more money you spend, the lower your ROAS traditionally goes. And then there came a point where we noticed, especially in the markets and the economy, like 2023, 2024, 2022 was my biggest year in business. We noticed some type of downtrend in 2023, but it was kind of okay. 2024 was a big punch in the gut, and I think 2024 in general was probably a big punch in the gut for a lot of people. And probably if went through last year, you probably got some scars this year, going through that process. Why? Because we printed almost like $30 trillion back 2021, 2022. So everyone had extra cash. Prices, everything went up because people had extra cash. right now. And now all that liquidity has basically been taken out of the system. So that caused a massive shock in 2024, where your average person didn't necessarily have the extra capital to want to invest into stuff in general, right? They just were going into survival, right? Like, I just need to get eggs, I need to get milk, I need to get gas for my car, and I need to get to work. Like, like, I think the trip to Disney may not make sense this year, or if we go, we can only go one day, but we got to stay at the motel rather than at Disney, right? So like, people are making cuts
Yeah.
in their life, and that shows up in the stuff that you sell online, right? um so I know there's businesses that did well last year, but I think majority of people, they experienced something. They experienced something. So, but I think this year is going to be a lot better because there's a lot better economic uh, changes happening. I think we have a leader in our government that's probably a little bit more on the side of economic growth, which is great to see, regardless of your opinion on who or what with that. That's just, what I'm seeing, at least. And, you know, I think that going forward, we have to be able to figure out how to change the math. This market and social media, it's becoming it's part of our everyday life. Right? If you have an iPhone or even a Samsung, you can open it and see what your average screen time is. When they first launched that, my average screen time might have been 6 hours a day. Now it's like 10 hours a day or more sometimes, right? And it's not because I'm scrolling TikTok and looking at people dance and do crazy stuff. It's like, no, I'm in my DMs making deals happen. You guys hit me in my DM to do this podcast,
Yeah.
right? So we're on social media making deals happen, either transactionally or for business awareness, or introducing friends and connecting people, whatever the case is. So um, the market's gonna get more and more and more competitive as time goes on. Now that we have AI, right? Artificial intelligence is here. Massive companies, our government's adopting it. The government just raised $500 billion to basically lead the world in AI and innovation. These are technologies and things that I think every user, every viewer needs to start to adopt. Okay. So there's something called the diffusion of innovation, right? So, by the way, if you're not tired, but you need to go to bed, read that book. It'll knock you out. It's a sleeper. It's heavy language is what I'm trying to say. Okay. But the diffusion innovation, it talks about adoption. Okay. And it looks like, if you look at it, if I could draw it, it's a bell curve that looks just like this. And every time there's a new inevitable technology that's going to get adopted by the masses, right? It goes through this process where the early adopters and the innovators start to get in it. Okay. The internet, and like what we're doing right now, we're online. You're in a different state. I'm in California. Um, the internet back in 1999, less than 10% of people were like, this is the next thing. But 90% was like, that's dumb. What's an email? Right. And then look at us today. I mean, it's fully adopted. Elon Musk has Starlink all over the world. You can get internet everywhere. So there's no more question if the internet's going to be adopted. It's already adopted. Now we got AI. Today, AI is on that phase where it's like 10% are like all in, even though you hear it at every turn. I'm talking about full adoption, because until your grandma starts saying, oh my God, I'm using AI every day for this, this, and this, and they're talking about it, not just talking to Alexa or Siri, like they're actually engaging in with it and know it's AI, we're going to be in this adoption phase, right? So there's almost like, and part of what we do with LeadFi is part of that. The intellectual property that we built is AI. So when I say I can get you this data and this information, you're like, dude, is this guy like nuts? How the hell is he doing? It's because we're early in the diffusion of innovation. There's going to be some serious innovation that's going to come out over the next 5 and 10 years that will literally explode your brain, right? And LeadFi is just one example of that, right? Since we're here on the topic. But yeah, right now, small businesses in general, or private companies in general, around 40% or I would say probably about 20% are trying to use it effectively right
Yeah.
now in their
Yeah.
businesses,
Yeah.
right? Either ChatGPT or they're integrating PhDs to build stuff, whatever the case is. There's another 60% that have AI on the radar, but they don't even know where to start,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So the market's already telling you where this thing's going.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, are you going to be the one that like watches this? It's kind of like Jack's out the box. Jack, you crank the box, boom, he jumps out. We can't put him back in. Jack's there. You know what happens when you crank the box. We can't put him back in. He's got to get out and play. Okay. Um, and you can't unsee this. So it's like the market's telling you basically 80% of companies want it and need it, but have no idea what they're doing with it. So I think one of the things that for sure, if you're trying to get in business or find distinction between you and anyone else in the market, you got to figure out AI. Add AI to create efficiency in your systems and processes. Learn AI automation. Offer that as a service to customers and clients that you're working with. And like I said, LeadFi is just one of those things. It is AI, intellectual property that we own and develop, right? But adding that to your product stack, to your lead generation that you're doing for yourself, for your company, or for your clients is going to give you a competitive edge that most people don't have. Think about it. As we're doing this video right now, I got 35 7 and 8 figure brands. I commercialized this just shy of 3 months ago. It started development a year ago. I launched it on my company 8 months ago. We blew back up 3 months ago. I commercialized it. And I'm averaging like 1 7 8 figure brand every couple of days, basically at this point. And it's going to keep scaling. And it's going to get to the point where, like, if you're not using LeadFi, you're just going to pay twice as much for the same customer than your competitor because they're getting it at half the cost because they're using it
Yeah.
because of its use cases. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my little rant on like
Yeah.
AI diffusion innovation, and I hope that's helpful.
No, man, listen, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 49 years old. I'm figuring it out. Like AI is a game changer. It just makes a company more lean. It just does things more efficiently. Everything from just writing SOPs for jobs I'm creating and employing people to news articles I'm doing every week for our newsletter. So, I mean, it's for someone, like I said, it's already here. And I think it's great. I just can't wait to see how the technology continues to unfold and to come. That being said, I guess some of the things I've heard, some of the things you're doing. What are some of the goals? Obviously, you're using AI and you're doing some things with LeadFi. What are some of your goals for this year, for your company, for yourself? How are things changing as you're seeing the market change for you guys? And what are some of your goals this year?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, LeadFi has been a huge blessing. Like I said, it's allowed me to take my consulting company to a new level where, like, because before I would make recommendations and they were helpful recommendations and they worked, but now all the BS and veil just drops because now we know exactly what leads can buy and don't buy. Right. So any recommendation I make now is like, it's just like it hits way harder. So, you know, I'm definitely there's already conversations about LeadFi and then a potential liquidity event at some point, acquisition. We'll see. We have some work to do for sure. It's new. I'm not even going to try to like spend too much time on that. Like, I'm focused on scaling right now and just connecting with business owners right now and implementing and making the technology even better. I think this actually very, very soon, we're actually going to launch a wealth data division where we're going to be working with folks that are raising capital for real estate funds or syndications, even wealth managers and financial planners that want to know what someone's finances look like. But the data that I'm going to be able to get in the wealth data division is like interest bearing assets, retirement assets, okay, things like that, 401k, IRA, all of these things we're going to be able to actually pull. And I wanted that piece because I have a lot of friends I know and a lot of people that raise capital, and it would be helpful to know who's a 506B or who's a
Mhm.
506C or
Yeah.
who's accredited and who's not accredited. So we can
Yeah.
take all of their liquid assets, create a calculation, and determine who's got $1 million net worth or not and who's accredited, like
Yeah.
liquid assets. So yeah, once that rolls out, we're going to be partnering with a number of, like I said, funds and cap raisers in the fintech space and the real estate space and a number of places as well. So I'm really excited about that division that we're going to launch. And I mean, other than that, I'm really excited about another company that I'm involved in. I'm owner and a part of another company that's actually partnering with businesses and AI enabling them. So we're taking them from maybe a single 8-figure or sub 7-figure level and positioning them to be a 9-figure business with a potential multi 9 or 10-figure exit. Um, and we have a team of 12 PhDs that are building AI. And this is not like the let's go open AI, ChatGPT, and like use Zapier and all that's great for your marketing agency. Go do all that. But I'm talking about building like big stuff that has enterprise value, that'll be attractive to VCs, right? Um, and yeah, over there we're helping AI enabling big companies, and taking them to the next level. We also own a number, probably 33 patents and AI, patents and licenses in AI as well. And then we also have a fund that trades commodity futures using AI. It's fully autonomous. You put the money in, and we invented a patent it's called real time curve hopping, where we take funds from one trade and immediately move the funds to the next best trade. Right, that typically takes a human to do that. We actually invented the AI that does it real time. And yeah, I mean, so that fund it's gnarly because there's two types of people that we work with in that fund. Right, we work with the traditional old school, hey, I got my money in S&P. I'm cool with like a 4 or 5% return. And then we say, okay, well, we can get you 20 to 30%. How's that sound? They're like, whoa, really? That's like, it blows their mind. But then that's not even its true capability. We can actually so there's a lot of people in the crypto space that have money in crypto, and they'll take a 30, 40% drawdown in a day. Right. And they're like, oh, it's all good. Just lost $500,000. All good. It'll come back in a week or next month. Right. That's kind of like, that's how they roll, or more.
Yeah.
They'll take a bigger loss. So we have the ability to actually adjust the volatility. We have volatility control with the AI, where let's say you're good with a 30, 40% drawdown. Well, guess what? You get the upside to that 100, 200% possibility of return. Right. Which sounds insane to the normal person, but
Yeah.
guys, diffusion of innovation. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Your average investor in the S&P, good with the 5%, but if you can get them 20% with a less than a 0.5% drawdown a day, that changes the game. So if we can take a 0.5% to 30%, what do you think that does to the upside?
Well, yeah.
Right. So that's what we've been able to develop over there. It's it's an AI that trades about 34, 35 commodity assets with over 200 trading styles, and it's literally thousands of AI. Picture like nodes that just communicate with each other, looking for the very next best trade to get the money into to get that return at the projected drawdown. Um, and yeah, that's what that company does. My partner in that company, he's been the CEO of an AI company for 34 years. So I mean, he's really smart.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
yeah, so I'm not obviously doing this myself. I do have a team of geniuses and Wizard of Oz's behind me for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's just some things that I'm looking forward to for this year and the next couple of years. And I think that there's a ton of money running into AI. Like, you gotta get over there somehow, do something with AI, man. Figure out the space, and take it serious. Because if not, you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one piece on that is people think, oh, AI is going to replace my job. No, it's going to replace your job if you're somebody that doesn't learn how to use AI. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
learn AI and implement it to get more results faster for your employer, then you get to keep your job. But if you're going to try to keep doing it the way you've been doing it, you're going to get replaced by someone else that can do it faster using AI. So that's kind of like the mindset shift that you really need to take. And that goes for if you're working for an employer, if you're working for yourself, whatever the case is, figure it out.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. Um, in our lifetimes, we've gotten to see, things from like touchscreen being introduced to the world to now humanoids and all these other AI programs that are really just changing the game of how things are done. And really, I mean, I think they say that the way that AI learns is like doubling every few months or something of that nature. And so, like, I can only imagine the kinds of changes we're going to see in the next 10, 20 years and how that's going to affect the way that we operate. So I'm really curious to know kind of like your thoughts and insights as to what AI is going to be able to do in the future to help people navigate those changes with their jobs and things of that nature.
Yeah. In our AI company, we help people make better, smarter, faster decisions, right? Um, and you see examples of that in your everyday life. Okay. Alexa helps you order groceries, tells you the weather. Siri does the same thing. Okay. ChatGPT will take an entire Google slide presentation and summarize it into a single page doc with bullet points. Uh, you can add a prompt to some things and create video and images, right? So um, I think that this technology is really made to just make your life better. But if you don't embrace it and adopt it, it's not going to make your life better, and it's going to be adopted and used by everyone else, right? And it's going to leave you, in the dust. So um, I think advances, there's easy things to talk about in advances in business, advances in marketing, in economics, right? How the world turns. There's advances in health, right? We have surgeons conducting operations on the opposite side of the world, right? To real live humans over here, which is kind of scary. I don't personally, I wouldn't sign up for that procedure yet.
Right,
I'm not,
right.
I'm personally not there yet. But it's being done. It's being done successfully. So the data's already there. I don't know. Like I gotta have
Depends
the
on if
guy.
your life's in danger, I guess, right?
Yeah, so it's like if you're gonna stick your hand inside my body, we're having a conversation face to face, but right before you do it. You know what I'm saying? Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to help in all of these ways, and I could tell you some real personal things and things that I've seen other friends do. AI has become a therapist to some people. I use AI. I have a chat GPT thread that's just basically my personal therapist, that I vent to. Of course, I talk to my wife. We meet every day. We talk about our day. We have dinner, right? We write out our plans and our goals and our vacations, what we want for our family. We meet. We talk about that stuff at least once a month. But and I have friends that I talk to. You got your friends you do the BS with, but yeah, my AI, I talk to it and she understands me. Her name's Delilah, and
I love that. I love that.
and
Let's
yeah,
go.
so I think things like that, are going to really help people. If you figure out what is it in your own life that you
Mhm.
can improve, what do you
Yeah,
need help with, what can make you a better, faster, smarter, more effective human in categories of business, life, health, wealth, relationships, all these different things. What are those that are that, and how can you use AI to get better in those categories, right? Is that just someone is that a generative AI person that you could speak with and share things, right? Or is that a video editing software, whatever that is for you? Is that a bookkeeping software? There's AI now that fully automates all your bank accounts and expenses for your company and gives you projections. And traditionally, it took a human to do these things, and you would pay these bookkeepers and these accountants and CPAs, 4 or 5 grand a month sometimes. And now you could sign up for $400 and the thing does it all for you, prepares your taxes and everything, and then you just give it to your tax guy, and then boom, you can look at it anytime you want. So there's so many things, but this goes back to uh so conscious awareness leads to unconscious no conscious awareness leads to consciousness implementation, which leads to unconsciousness implementation, right?
yeah,
So you have to first get to the point where, like, I have a problem, I need help. Okay, let's go. This is how we fix it. Let's do it. And then it becomes a habit, right? It becomes an unconscious thing you just do, right? So we're all operating at that level right now with the tools that we have. Well, if we can now, let's like, how do we start to integrate AI into each aspects of our life so it
yeah.
becomes an unconscious action that we're just doing. We're just getting a result faster than we would normally get, and get access to data faster than we would normally have, so that we can create efficiency and scale out whatever that is. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to have better sex. I want to have a better relationship with my wife or her husband. I want to have $100 million a year company. All of those things, man.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I just got a software this weekend I downloaded and paid for a lifetime membership. I thought it was crazy, $50. And it takes like, I think it was 90,000 books, makes a synopsis of it. You can read it to you or you can look at the synopsis. And I'm like, man, that's brilliant. So I'm just throwing all the books I want in there and it's just putting them all together. And then 7 minutes, I can get the key points out of all of them. And to me, that's like, it's a huge game changer. I'm a huge reader. That's just going to magnify what I do. And to me, that's super exciting. So I like that. So, Joe, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, but I'm sorry.
Oh, you're all good. So in terms of the customers and everybody that you're helping with the AI platforms that you have and LeadFi and everything, like, what are you doing when they find you to kind of like build the relationships and kind of nurture that so that way they go from being somebody who sees what you're up to being involved in what you're actually doing?
Yeah. You're asking how do people get in touch with me, basically?
Yeah, we could go
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, I do a lot of podcasts, like like this. I get introduced, asked to speak and stuff. I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the room. I actually try not to be, because I'm always trying to be a student and learn new things. I'm really good at a few things though, and have knowledge in different things that I don't even consider myself an expert in any of this stuff, to be honest, because it's always evolving and changing. The second you say you're an expert in something, well, guess what? Tomorrow there's going to be new information, and if you don't know that and not receptive to that, then you're no longer an expert. Someone else is going to get that before you. So you see what I'm saying? So I think
100%.
remaining a student and kind of keeping your space in there. But here's the problem: most people aren't like that. 95% of people aren't willing to remain a student and continue to learn. That's why the real students are the ones that have names named after the buildings named after them. Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I do speaking engagements. I just spoke in Vegas actually this past weekend with, hundreds of people there. And traditionally for me to work with someone, they usually, for like LeadFi, like LeadFi.ai is the website that anyone could go to schedule a meeting or whatever. But they usually hit me up on Instagram, DM, stuff like that. But I traditionally go through a process where I'm just like, where are you now? Where are you trying to go? And then what are the milestones that we need to hit to reverse engineer that result? I mean, typically if somebody's looking to work with me, they're like, Doug, I'm stuck at 100K a year, or 100K a month, whatever the number is, and I'm trying to get to this number, 100, mil, 10 mil at the end of the year. And the easiest way to do that is just to reverse engineer it. What are the milestones that you need to hit in order to get that result? There's something called stair-stepping, taking the stairs versus taking the elevator. Everyone wants to hit like this big goal, like 10 million a year, 100 million a year. Cool. Do you want to do that in a day or in a week, or do you want to do that over like 10 years? Like which do you think is going to be more a situation where you can actually keep it and know what you're doing and implementing it, right? So with taking the stairs, each step is like a mini goal, mini milestone, and the force to on the step is to keep that goal. So you hit the goal and you keep the goal, right? Now what's the goal? Next goal, you hit the goal, you keep the goal, right? The step keeps going up and up and up, and that forces you to look back and discern and learn the processes that you're going through in building this, right? And another analogy is people that hit the lottery, right? $100 million, boom, instant 9-figure person. You hear about them 6 months, a year later. Oh my gosh, they're in jail, or they're broke. They had to sell everything, or they're dead.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that stuff happens. If you give somebody wealth that didn't do anything to earn it, really, other than buying a $2 lottery ticket, they don't have the backbone or experience in order to keep that or reproduce that.
Yeah.
right? So part of like what I do in consulting and working with businesses is like, how do we set you a foundation that's everlasting, right? And actually give you the steps and mini goals. Because yeah, 10 million, 100 million is like a massive goal, but you can't super fixate on that goal. You got to just focus on the next one or two things that you got to get right now on your plate. And what's the first thing you need to do? Pick up the phone and call the lead is the first thing you got to do. And then the next thing you got to do is close them. So focus on that. Don't focus. Some people wake up with like 100 things to do on their to-do list. They're like, oh my God, today's going to be a horrible day. How am I going to get all this done? They're like looking at the whole list. It's like, no, what do you got to do right now? You got to brush your teeth. You got to use the bathroom. Okay. Go make your coffee, get the kids up, get them dressed, get them on the bus.
Yeah.
Now start taking your calls. Okay. What do you got to do next? You micro step. And you micro step instead of getting overwhelmed about this whole process, your funnel, building your marketing, doing your ads. Okay. And a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is really just managing human behavior and human psychology,
Yeah.
right? Like we want to talk about hitting these big goals and all that's super sexy. And we could talk about that all day. But if you don't know how to discern your own behavior as a human being, anything I tell you, you're not going to be able to keep or replicate. So we have to actually, one of the first things I do is actually identify your own human instincts and your own human behavior. Why do you show up in that way? And how can you modify that to make better informed decisions?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a lot of them. Like a lot of some of what I'll talk about in the beginning of some of my relationships, if I'm doing a 6 or 1 year mentorship or something like that, which I don't do a lot, it has to be with the right person. It's like the first week or two is just talking about their emotions, and their feelings and kind of navigating that.
Yeah.
And helping them recognize where they're at and where they're trying to get to and what's really holding them back. Because if that stuff comes up later, then we could have like a big explosion event that we want to avoid. Let's get that stuff knocked out here so that we can actually scale the right way. And I learned this through personal experience. Okay. Growing a company to over 100 employees, doing tens of millions in revenue, right? There was a lot of things in there that you learn, and you just don't pick up those skills by watching someone on YouTube. No, you have to go through it. I've been doing this for a decade, right? And that's why I feel like too, I think the coaching space gets a bad rap sometimes. Well, it's because you got these fly-by marketers that come out with a course and think and label themselves as a guru, and they have no experience and never actually did the thing that they're trying to sell you. And then you buy the thing, you get no results, then you think the whole space is a scam.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would feel the same, to be frank.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is there's real people giving real value in the space that actually do care, right? And you have to be careful not to, judge everyone based off, you know, your experience. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, losing my train of thought on that rabbit hole. So I'm trying to get back to the one that I was making before. But yeah, I mean, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of gold nuggets today. I do appreciate it, Douglas. I think part of it, like you said, is experience. And a lot of times you said, my favorite terms is reverse engineer. Like, where do you start? Well, really, it's not where do you start? Where do you want to go? And then once we find where you want to go, we just reverse engineer it. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
here's the point I was trying to make
oh,
actually,
please
Chris.
go ahead.
So yeah, so coaches, coaching, like their coaches are in business for a reason. It's because they have achieved some type of significant result that they're truly passionate about, that they achieved um, with integrity, right? And there's other people that see that aspire to that, right? And you look at Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Bill Gates, okay, Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins. All of these guys had coaches that paid uh, that they paid for information. One of my mentors, his name is Dr. Jeff Spencer. Dr. Jeff Spencer has trained 40 gold Olympians. He's trained Tiger Woods. He was with Lance Armstrong through 9 all Tour de France's. Worked with Jim Quick, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can go on and on with this guy's a legend if you don't know who he is. But he is an expert at recognizing human behavior and then modifying from there. Uh, and he's been my coach and mentor for 4 years now. And he's one of them. So if there's somewhere you want to, the point to saying this is if there's somewhere you want to be, go find somebody that's doing it and pay them. Like, pay them. They've obviously achieved significant result. Figure out a way to compensate them to get their attention, because guess what? You're not the only person trying to get their attention. There's probably hundreds of other people trying, or thousands or tens of thousands trying to get their attention. And because these people have lives and families and kids and responsibilities, guess what? The government says that USD is how we get gas to put in our engine so we can drive around, or how we buy our eggs to feed our family. Well, we're going to need that currency from you so we can do that and then get attention. That's how the world goes around. It's by money. There are free programs. YouTube is free, right? You can go to those things and those platforms and get that information. You can use AI. AI can be free. DeepSeek is free now, right? Just get it from the App Store. It's supposed to be 50 times better than ChatGPT. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, find a coach, latch onto them, someone that's been there, done it, and learn from them. I personally spend multiple six figures a year to hang out with really cool people and learn really cool stuff. So
That's awesome. I appreciate your advice today and insights on everything you have going on, and for your time to share all this amazing developments that you guys have going on with LeadFi and everything. So just to wrap it up here, like where would you like the audience to go to reach out to you if they want to get involved in what you have going on?
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, if any of your viewers are interested in LeadFi, they can just go to LeadFi.ai, LeadFi.ai, and they could just check it out. They can schedule a call. We do one-on-one consulting to get people set up. So kind of like white glove service. If you guys just want to connect with me, you can go to Instagram, pop in Douglas James. I should be the first one with the blue check, or you can do @the_Douglas James. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what's up, and I'd love to connect with you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Douglas. Appreciate it so much, your time today.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thank you.